Anyway, I see Joseph here in the Joseph from Atlanta Journal Constitution is going to join us for a chat here. He won't be. You can't see him on TikTok, but he'll be on screen here on YouTube, and he's been covering this case forever. He can get into the politics of it. Let's see. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, can you hear me?
How's it going? I've got you on screen. What's up?
Okay, can you
What
hear
a
me?
big news day today. So how did this go down? First of all, how do you, because you can't get notices for the Superior Court file. Did you just get an email, or were you just
So,
hitting refresh?
so what happened is that I was actually eating lunch, uh, and
Yeah.
then I got a text from a former attorney in the case, Suri Chara Jimenez, saying the recusal granted, and I was like, oh, I need to get on this, and I've
Yeah.
been working with our attorneys, our AJC attorneys, who do get the filings as soon as they're filed, and they're being able to send it to me because for some reason the Fulton County website doesn't work for me in terms of buying stuff since the hack
Yeah,
that
I
happened.
haven't been able to update my
Since the
page.
hack that happened,
Yeah.
that so I cannot really buy anything. But luckily, this attorney that we have gets the filings, and she's been sending the filings to me. So that's why I get them up not as quickly as Target Daily, but I try to get them up as quickly as possible. And of course, this is the big news of the day, and this is the news that we've been waiting on for ever since he held the proceedings.
Yeah, yeah. No, so were people expecting this? I mean, kind of the general thought is that judges kind of protect themselves, and especially the fact that I felt like some of the allegations of misconduct and stuff in that meeting were a little overblown, which she basically says the same thing in that order. But to me, this like reveals a lot about the politics of the court.
So my and we wrote a couple of stories last week, especially when all the motions were being filed or the responses were being filed. And we wrote a story on Friday in which we talked to two people who were former Judicial Qualification Commission chairs, so they know about judges, and those are what police is judges here in Georgia.
Yeah,
And they were saying that they didn't think that he was gonna get recused, just because, like you mentioned, it's like sometimes judges protect each other and stuff like that, and they didn't felt it was enough, or or even that Krause would decide to do this ruling herself. Even if she denied it, she probably might have preferred for the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court of Georgia to make the decision instead of her on what to do with a judge on this high-profile case. But in the end, as you can see in the motion, she in the order, she decided, hey, let me just recuse Judge Glanville from this. And yeah, it's we'll see what happens with Judge Ingram. She does have the chance to uh, recuse herself as well from the
yeah,
case.
yeah,
So the way it works in Fulton County is that they have like a random wheel that assigns judges to cases. So I guess Judge Ingram was the next judge to be assigned, needed to be assigned, but she could also recuse herself for a variety of reasons, from like knowing Judge Glanville, having something with Glanville, or knowing the prosecutor, or knowing some of the defense attorneys, or like a variety of reasons. The judges can recuse themselves for a variety of reasons. So we'll see if Judge Ingram decides to take whatever happens next, or she decides to send it to another judge.
And
Yeah,
so this
that's
is
her.
this is Judge Ingram, the judge who's been assigned to the case since Glanville. Do you know much about her? Have you seen
I I I
trials with her?
tried to ask colleagues about her, and the only thing we could find right now is that she presided over a case involving a former East Point. East Point is an area here in near Atlanta. A police officer accused of sexual assault who was acquitted on 7 counts. And that was in 2022. But I've heard the name before. I've heard the name before, and again, it's not as well known as Glanville or McAfee or right now also Kimberly Adams, but we'll have to see what she decides. No, nobody really knew George Krause anyway, and she basically just decided, hey, let's get rid of. Judge Glanville and have another judge handle it.
Yeah. Wow.
So
So is it? I mean, is there like kind of some shock in the legal community because of this? Because I mean, like you said, the vocal people on, well, this is me saying this. The vocal people on social media have been saying he's been recused, but like you said, you talked to a couple of people who last week who didn't think he was going to be recused from this, and that was kind of the general thinking. So is this just total shock?
uh, it really depends because what Judge Glanville did, especially after holding Brian Steele in contempt, was, I don't want to say the nail in the coffin, but that was like a lot of defense attorneys from not only Georgia but all over the country went after Judge Glanville because of what he did to Brian Steele, and Brian Steele is like a great defense attorney that everybody here in Atlanta knows. So it's like from there was a lot of negativity towards Glanville, and then a lot of people thought he might be able to stay on the case. Other people thought he might not be able to stay on the case. The funny part that I found from the order is that Judge Krause didn't think the meeting was improper. She thought what Glanville did after, on July 1st, when he held the proceedings, that's the reason he's being recused, not because of the meeting.
Yeah, I thought that was so interesting because I mean, everyone has just been screaming about how that meeting. I mean, that was why I didn't think he was going to get recused, because I thought, like she said, the hyperbole about, she even uses the word hyperbole in that order to talk about just what they were saying happened at that meeting. It didn't seem to rise to the level of that. And the order confirms that, but then it's everything that happened after that. So what can prosecutors appeal this? I mean, what do you think the chances of that happening?
Actually, and I don't want to give too much away because actually it's in the story right now. We just
Sure.
updated our story. So in our story, we talked to Don Samuel, he's also a prominent defense attorney here, and who also represented Ghana in this case.
Yeah.
And he said that the DA's office does not have the right to appeal defendant's successful motion to recuse a judge. So
Yeah.
the
Okay.
DA's office cannot appeal this decision by the judge to
It
recuse
does, if
Glanville.
they could, it doesn't seem like likely that a court would be willing to
Yeah.
be like, oh, Krause, you're wrong.
And also, you probably read the response from the DA's office. It wasn't that like, yeah, Glanville needs to stay on. They were basically saying Glanville needs to stay on, but they didn't really give a lot of argument in terms
Well,
of why
well,
Glanville,
they
which
obviously,
which which would have been difficult to do because he was like, you don't want to appear with that what Steele alleged that Glanville had become part of the prosecution and give more wood to that fire. But I just don't know what the goal was with that response because he didn't he didn't have a lot of meat on that bone, in my
well,
opinion.
I think their logic on that was kind of reflected in the order, and that there wasn't anything really wrong with that meeting.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
in the idea that his actions afterward, like, I mean, that's what Judge Krause said, but I don't think they really felt the need to respond to that because nobody ever even really raised that. Like in the
Yeah.
supplement to, it was just all about the transcript of the ex parte and like, look at all this, improper conduct that went on. Look at all the badgering of the witness, the
Well,
coercion.
and
No
even
one
like
even brought up all this case law and what Judge Glanville said on July 1st. The attorneys never even made that argument. The judge just found it herself and used it to recuse him. She must just fucking hate Glanville. I mean, that's what I thought.
I won't comment on that. I won't comment
Yeah,
on that. I'll let you handle that. I'll let the Twitter users handle that.
sure.
But we'll have to wait and see what Judge Ingram decides to do
Is
because
it is it a given that there's going to be a mistrial and the trial is going to start over?
not necessarily,
That'd be weird.
but because right now, and I haven't checked the filings, but I haven't received any. Steele and Kent and Weinstein and all the other attorneys need to file the motion to mistrial first.
Yeah.
And then what needs to happen is Judge Ingram now needs to decide, okay, am I going to stay on this case and have to go all through all 18 months of transcripts, all 18 months of decisions, all 18 months of everything? and then get caught up and go on from June 10th forward, or am I just gonna the defense is gonna have enough argument for a mistrial, and I'm gonna declare a mistrial. Now the key is if it's gonna be a mistrial that with or without prejudice. So we just had the Alec Baldwin, what happened with him, and that was dismissed in totality. So there's no like he cannot be recharged with that. But here it could be like, oh, you can go again.
Yeah.
Or Young Thug goes free. One thing defense attorney should be able to do, and I actually got a statement from Doug Weinstein, is like they should be filing motions for bond.
Yeah, which will come first, the motion for mistrial or the motion for bond? Who knows? Probably the same time.
Probably at the same time, but I would try to file the motion for bond first, and then for motion for mistrial, because the motion for a mistrial is might take longer than a motion for bond.
Yeah.
And also, it might end up that Judge Ingram just denies the motions for bond anyway, for the same reasons Glanville has denied all the motions for bond. But we'll have to see.
It'll be interesting to see how much of what's already happened is redone, because the recusal order gives no reason to think that, anything improper has happened in the trial other than just him having a big ego and refusing to send these recusal motions out to another judge. Yeah. I mean, that's really the only thing she identifies in there.
Yeah, she didn't. She even says that while perhaps the meeting should have been held in open court, there was nothing improper about the meeting.
Yeah, and
that was the whole argument with Steele and Weinstein. Is like, we should have been there. Everything was wrong. They coerced Copeland, and they forced Copeland to testify and all that. And then the judge was like, Judge Krause was like, no, everything is fine. It's just Judge Glanville.
It's just so subjective with that, because some people are just like, oh, this meeting was obviously illegal. I'm like, no, it wasn't. It really is just subjective. Like a judge friend here in California read through the transcript, and he responded that while he thinks the basis for the meeting was probably maybe proper, he said it went way beyond anything that would have happened. And then he specified that would have happened in my court. Because it's just up to like the judge's personal preference. He wouldn't have gone all that into all the discussion with Woody, but that, there's just no sane, there's no just objective way to tell whether that was just illegal or not. It's just like a judge's opinion. And God, it's kind of, I don't want to say because it's not a loss. It's a huge win that he got recused, but it's so bizarre to me that she kind of just came up with her own reason to recuse him that wasn't even raised in the recusal papers.
Yeah, and a lot of the criticism of Glanville, it was warranted, in my opinion, now that he's been recused. But at the same time, he's the chief judge of Fulton County. He also handles Veterans Court. I forget his official title with the military, but it's not like he's a rookie judge. Sometimes he does rule in favor of the prosecution. A lot of times they rule in favor of the prosecution, and he must have his reasons why he does that. But I never had a problem with Judge Glanville, only with his time management skills. But other than that, I feel like he might have gotten a bit overwhelmed with everything that's going on, that's happening with this case.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see what Judge Ingram does. One thing with Glanville is he did give a lot of access to the media. He did approve a lot of Rule 22s, and some judges in Fulton County are not like that. So
I mean, it's judges' discretion whether to allow cameras in court, right? I mean, the Georgia law favors cameras in court, but they don't have to allow them, right?
Yeah, there is a judge, there's the training center RICO case right now as well. The judge presiding over that and doesn't like cameras in the courtroom, doesn't like cell phones in the courtroom. So it's really hard to do your job as a journalist in that courtroom. But with Glanville, it was more open in terms of open courtrooms, but still, just certain things that the way he managed certain things is just, and like it was not all on Glanville because Glanville is not the one that had a deputy message a defendant and fall in love with a defendant. Glanville is not the one that had a juror go to the Dominican Republic when she needed to present for jury duty. Glanville was not the one that emailed the jury services saying that everybody's guilty and you should accuse me from jury service. Like,
So these are
yeah,
other judges that you've written about then in Fulton County then?
no, these are all the jury selection problems and everything that
Yeah.
happened in this trial
Oh,
that
yeah.
Glanville doesn't really have control over, but still he's the presiding judge of this case and he should be able to handle this better.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. It was. I mean, the case. It seems like it's just too big. Period. Any judge would be kind of like struggling to get their arms around it, but he really seemed to. The complex case was just not, not good for him. It seemed like.
And like now Glanville is handling another high profile case here. I don't know if you heard of it's called the spa shooter. There was a shooting at different Asian spas here in Atlanta a
Oh
couple of
yeah.
years ago, and he's already sentenced for life in prison in Cherokee County, a neighboring county. But Fonnie Willis, the DA here, decided to seek death penalty here for Fulton County charges. So he's presiding over that case. So that would be his main case right now,
That'll
and you
be,
have.
and that one gets filmed, right, or streamed online when there are big hearings.
Yeah, but the last couple of hearings has just been talking about brain matter and whether his brain was fully developed when he committed the crimes, and a lot of like really technical stuff that
Yeah.
doesn't really sell newspapers. Let's just say that, or doesn't
Yeah.
really
So
interest a lot of people.
I was trying to think when is like, because we're never going to see Judge Glanville. I mean, for people who just watch the stream, I mean, he's gone. There's no reason he's ever going to
Yeah,
be on the stream again. I would just love to know, like, what is he doing right now? What's his reaction to this? I mean, this is a
I
huge, like,
yeah.
this against him.
I reached out to his court reporter to see if that maybe through her Glanville might want to say something, but I doubt Glanville is gonna come out and say anything.
Yeah, no, it's the kind of
Like
thing where you just have to run
yeah,
into him.
it's like let's just move on.
Yeah, you would just have to run into him when he's leaving the courthouse to go get to his car or something. Be like,
we're walking his dog.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, gosh.
I'm gonna miss hearing that dog.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I like over this trial has been going on for 18 months now, so you get to meet some of the people that work with Glanville. And I told the court reporter, I'm gonna miss seeing you every day that I go to court, and but that's the way the legal system is, and I guess Glanville made his own bed based on what Judge Krause said on
oh
the.
yeah, he was his own worst enemy. And somebody, obviously, like when he came out on July 1st and was like, I'm sending these to another judge, it's like clearly he probably had some friends like counsel him over the weekend about, you're just making this worse for yourself. But then it turns out those comments on July 1st, that's what did him in. I mean, him not sending the recusal notice.
If you and I haven't been able to confirm this, and I think it's useless now. But if you go back to watch the June 10th proceedings, when all this happened, the meeting and all that, and even you read the transcript, you notice that one person is not there, and that's his attorney, Wesley Kearns, who sits right in
Oh,
front of Glanville.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like that's something I noticed instantly when I was watching back and all that. It's like, where is he?
Yeah, you think because
It, it,
I mean,
it
when
was,
I
it was,
read his first order, it's so obvious. It's so different from federal judges who have like, a rotating two top law school grads as their law clerks and rotate out every year.
it
Superior
might have
court
been,
judges don't
yeah,
have that. So just
it might have
reading
been,
through his order,
yeah, he
it's like,
might have been on vacation or something. I don't want to speculate on what he was doing, but uh, just something
interesting.
curious. It was like well, like because that's your staff attorney. That's the one that tells you, that assesses you and helps you out, and could have probably helped out Glanville a lot that day with
Yeah.
everything that happened after the meeting, with Steele being held in contempt and all that.
Yeah, yeah. The contempt thing was totally crazy. And then his written order for Diamante Kendrick, he totally dug himself in a hole by saying, oh, this is sufficient as pled, but there's no evidence. Like, yeah, I mean, as Judge Krause said, he should have sent the orders out to another judge after that. But
Honestly,
wow.
he should have just, as soon as now that I'm reading the order, it's like he should have just taken the motion to recuse and say, okay, I'm gonna just give it to another judge, not read the whole thing that he read July 1st, because
Yeah.
that's what got him off this case. What he read
Yeah.
on July 1st,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
anything else, not anything
That's,
else, just what he read on July 1st.
man, that that just makes this all the more brutal. I mean, him getting recused, period, is just it's bad for him. It must, but that just must hurt. It wasn't the meeting that did it. Like she even says that, she even uses the word hyperbole to describe some of the criticisms of it, but it's everything that happened after that. Wow. So do we have any idea on a timeline here? I mean, it's impossible to predict, but are you expecting
Well,
something with this new
well,
judge this week?
the first thing that needs to happen is Steele and Kendrick, and I guess the other attorneys, have to file the motions for a mistrial, or the motion that Bruce Harvey likes to always uh, file, is motion to sever
Yes.
the case, and he always gets denied. Well, he might get that motion granted now
Yeah.
if he files one, but they're probably gonna file a motion for mistrial. It would just depend when, and if, because we don't know if Kraus wanted to have a hearing on this or just rule from the filings. But Judge Ingram can also do the same, or just have a hearing, or again she could recuse, and then it goes back on the wheel, and the judge can reassign.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. Well, how exciting. So big, busy day for you guys. Are you guys like planning more coverage this week, or, I mean, I think it has been
Yes, yeah. Well, and then if anything big happens, then yeah. But our focus is mostly on the Republican National Convention this week up in Milwaukee. So we've been covering that, and as soon as the order was filed, I wrote a quick something to have on our website, and we had the breaking news banner on there, and then like 10 minutes later, it got replaced because Trump announced his BP pick.
Oh yeah, JD Vance.
So,
Yeah.
so that's news. That's news. It happens all the time. It happens
Yeah.
all the time. At least it wasn't a Friday news dump, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's nice she
because
didn't
that.
decide to do that Friday evening.
And it's nice that she decided to do it like at 3, so it was like it gives enough time for print deadlines, and gives enough time for the TV people to have their story ready for the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock news. So
Yeah.
we'll have to
Yeah.
wait and see what Ingram does. But yeah,
Yeah.
but we'll continue. You know this. We'll continue to cover this story uh, until the end. So if you guys want to download our app or subscribe to the AJC, uh, to read our coverage, and you probably won't see a lot of Shoddy in our coverage for YSL this week, because you're gonna see in Milwaukee this week. But
Yeah.
I'll be holding out the fort down here, and reporting everything that I find out.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us.
All right.
Anything else you want to say, or something we didn't cover that you think we should get in?
No, we'll see if we'll see what happens. You never know what can
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Hopefully all the hearings keep continued being streamed.
Yeah.
But,
I
yes.
will say we did reach out to Brian Steele and DA Fonnie Willis, and both declined to comment on this. Doug Weinstein did wanna comment, so he sent me a statement that we having our story up right
Yeah.
now. So
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, hey, thank you so much for everything.
no,
It was
thank you for having me.
keep following your coverage for sure. Everybody check them out
All
on
right.
Twitter, and Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, Jozsef.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.